Now, joining me in studio today is somebody I think you can call one of the lucky ones, somebody who went to the rock bottom of drug addiction but managed not only to survive it, but to turn his life around completely. His name is Kyle Evans, and he has just got back to Cape Town after running across the Arctic Circle for nearly a week, raising funds to help other addicts who need the kind of help that he was lucky enough to get. And I'm going to leave it to him to share the rest of the story with us. Kyle, great to have you with us and welcome back. Bit of a shock to the system, though, to go from Arctic temperatures to 40 degrees in Cape Town yesterday. How are you feeling physically?
It was very hot.
No kidding.
Yeah. Just a little bit run down, which could be expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, feeling good. It's all just coming together now, what I've done. And yeah, just a lot of time to reflect.
We're going to talk about what you've done, but first I think we need to talk about the background as to how you got there and why you were doing it. Kyle, your Instagram handle kind of says it all because you call yourself at Kyle Evans 2.0. What was Kyle Evans 1.0 like?
Very lost boy. Like little, like I say, I was living as an 8-year-old. I spoke to people to help me on my journey, you know, and I think when we go through a lot of stuff as a child, we have a little kid that then takes over to protect us. So I behaved a lot like a little 8-year-old throughout my life.
Yeah.
And like I've finally taken those reins back, you know.
I'm going to leave it to you to tell us as much or as little as you want to about your story, but I think it is important to let our listeners know where you were at a point just a couple of years ago. When I say you hit rock bottom, you were struggling with addiction. Do you want to talk to us about how you got there and what that path was like for you?
Yeah, so I came from a broken home and I just didn't have good role models for relationships. So my relationships I was in, I didn't handle very well. And I turned to substance very early on, like 15.
Yeah.
I think in South Africa it's very common for drinking, and, you know, drinking is so common. And I remember before that, I got paralytic drunk. I organized a bottle of alcohol, I think about age of 11.
Sure.
And passed out in a park where you could still do that before getting killed.
Yeah.
But I just found that as an escape, and I used it to escape my life without me knowing. And I was probably a full-blown addict by the age of 15. And that carried on for 14 years when I just started to grow up. And then I really tried to get help. I have a lot of clean dates and stuff tattooed on me, like that was the last time. And eventually I tried to kill myself. But thank God I woke up. And I started dating someone who was also in addiction, and we were both trying to get clean, and that doesn't work, you know. And the one time she came, I was staying in a place, and she came, and I just looked at her, and I'm like, who the hell could ever love you? Like, you're so terrible. And I looked in the mirror when she left and thought, who the hell could ever love you? And I just fell to my knees and started praying. And the next day I went into an AA meeting, and I grabbed the oldest guy with the most experience, and I begged him to help me change my life. And he said, look at you, you're full of tattoos, whatever you say, are you going to beat me up? I'm not going to. I can't help you.
Sure.
And I started crying, and I was just like, I'll do whatever you say. And he said, okay, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and you're going to meet me every single Monday at Arnold's, and we're going to do step work. And that's what I did. Like, I moved off my nighttime clients, I gave up that money, and I just went to the meetings every single night. And I just gave threw everything I had at it. And then 3 months later, my wonderful wife walked into the gym, because I think whatever you believe in, God or the universe, knew that it's not easy for me to stay clean, you know. But yeah, she's had a massive impact on my life.
So from a state where you were at absolute rock bottom, literally living out of a bag, suffering from addiction for over a decade, to having that moment of realizing, I've got to turn this around, it's going to take desperate measures. You obviously committed yourself to that process. Did you ever look back? I know it's not always as simple as this is going to be the time it works. As you've referenced, you've bounced there and back before. What was it, do you think, about the approach that worked this time?
I just think I was over it. Like, I couldn't even get killing myself right. Like, I just always knew that there was good in me, you know. And my wife loved me. I told my wife every single thing I'd ever done, and she she's the only person that knows, you know. And she didn't even like flutter an eyelid. And I think that love for me, like I never thought someone could love me like that, you know, so unconditionally. And I think that just gave me faith in myself. And yeah, there's been times where like I've wanted to slip and she's held me accountable and maybe cause fights with her, thinking she's going to kick me out and then I can go and use. But we got over that together. And I mean, it was so funny, like I couldn't not take drugs. I couldn't not drink. Like it was impossible. And now like you couldn't get me to take drugs. Like there's no chance. Like that is so far away from my life now. Like I'm in such an incredible place right now where I get to do things that I never thought would ever be possible. Like for me, like, you know, I didn't even have money to go to Durban. I had to get a bus ticket to go to my mom, like to get help, you know. But now I'm flying across the world. It's just a beautiful experience.
So the reason you've been flying across the world most recently was to undertake a fairly epic adventure in the Arctic Circle. You've heard the references to Jim. If you were looking at Carl, you could see straight away he's somebody that's super fit now and very healthy, it looks like. And Carl, you've really thrown yourself into a new life as a fit, healthy endurance sportsman, athlete, and you've recently participated in a run across the Arctic Circle. Before we talk about what you did there, let's talk about why, because this wasn't just about seeing, can I do it myself, although I'm sure that was part of the adventure, but you did it with a very clear fundraising goal behind it, didn't you?
Yeah, so when I got into ultra running, it was all about me. It was very selfish at times, probably like my wife had to deal with a lot. You spend a lot of time alone, away from the people you love, but I knew it was going to save my life. Like, it really brought something good out of me. The impact I saw on the people around me was massive. And I actually started a company, Mindset Movement, based on that, where I take people and train them up for running. Because I thought, you know, if ultra running, I don't be specific with ultra running, even just running, anything, you would do a 5K, can literally change your life. If it gets you off the couch, like eating Doritos, watching Netflix, and now all of a sudden you're in this community of people that do healthy things, you know, that can change your life. And I started a company based around that. And when I was going into this race, you know, I thought, in the beginning, everything was so selfish and just all about me. But why don't I use this to save other people's lives? And a guy I know, Luke, from the church, like they started this Quiver Foundation. And they haven't helped anyone yet, because why I believe in it so much is they're so strict about it. I've tried to sponsor people with drug addiction. It is so hard. Like, not a lot of people get off drugs. It grips you, you know, especially living here where it's all
so freely available.
Yeah, but it's also like, it's not even frowned upon. It's, you know what I mean? Like, you don't understand how much these people are suffering. Even me, like, I was suffering so much, but people thought I was just having fun, you know, but what happens behind closed doors, you're not having fun anymore. And it's just so accepted, you know. And people, they say they want to get clean, but sometimes they're just looking for attention. But what they're doing, the people they're dealing with in the Quiver Foundation, these are not like Camps Bay kids with credit cards. These are people in Woodstock with no teeth, you know what I mean? And they read, and the people, Vilma and Frank, they were those people. You know, and they're not just going to throw money at someone that's going to just waste it and like go to rehab and then get back. So they're spending a lot of time with these people and investing their time to find out like who really wants to get clean. So that's why they haven't even helped anyone yet. And they have got someone on the books now, someone that I've actually met before. So I thought, you know, how much money do you need? And it was 100,000 for now, because obviously they don't have the connections and stuff for the dental, which we'll get going forward. But I thought, well, let me just raise 100,000. And it was amazing, because as soon as I announced it last minute, because I've dealt with a lot of injuries and I just wanted to put my head down and train and get to the point. So I announced it like right before we went, and then someone phoned Luke and said, I'll back whatever he raises. So we're over £3,000 now, so that's £6,000.
So that anonymous, I know they've not wanted to be identified, but they are matching every cent that's been raised by the people sponsoring your run.
Yes.
Okay, and that money, as you say, earmarked to help an individual get their life back on track with whatever that takes. And as you said, for some people that's going to be rehab. For some people it's going to need dental work. For those who don't know, the impact of drug addiction on one's teeth is horrendous.
My tooth broke right before.
Yeah, sure, but so the race was in the Arctic Circle. So tell us more about what you've just done, because you're coming back here strolling in shorts and a t-shirt as if you've been in the Cape Town sunshine for the last few months. But just a couple of days ago, you were in a very, very different world. Tell us what you did.
So we ran 230 kilometers through the Arctic to the Arctic Circle. So just back out of it. It's a race called Beyond the Ultimate. They take people in very extreme locations, and we get to experience that in a safe-ish way. Not culture shock, just environment shock.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain still. But environment shock, I learned a lot. Like, you sweat, you die. So it's very different. I mean, you're running a race, but you got to control how much you sweat. So you got to control your outputs, because I experienced it once over the frozen lakes where the wind was kicking up and it was a whiteout. So I couldn't really see in front of me. And I needed to put my third layer on because I was getting extremely cold, and my mitts. And just stopping for 3 minutes to do that, I thought I was in a predicament. Like, you have a little red button on you that you can press, and they're in there with us and snowmobiles.
Yeah.
which kills you because it's on your back. Like, whenever you want, you can get out of this mess, you know? But yeah, I got it on and just kept moving and felt good. But like, it's crazy how just stopping for that little amount of time, like, you could be in a very bad position.
Yeah. So I mean, extreme conditions, pushing yourself to keep going. I love that sort of symbolism that you've got the escape button there, knowing that you can push it if you want to. It strikes me, Kyle, it kind of feels like it's almost like an addict knowing I can always go back and get a fix and I'll feel better in some way. Yeah. Did you sort of feel that almost pushing yourself to carry on without asking for help, without pushing and taking the easier way out of pushing the button? Was that kind of part of the mental process you went through?
No, I didn't feel that age. You know, so a lot of people on my social media know that the airport lost my bag with all my stuff in. Oh. I had to replace everything on the day I landed. The next day, they gave me no hope on finding it. I had to go and replace everything in my bag. I never relaxed for 1 second. Exactly 1 hour before the bus left, I was still buying stuff for the race. So nothing was going to stop me for this race. As I said, my tooth broke. They needed an emergency root canal, which they couldn't do in the time frame, so they ended up just yanking my tooth out. So I had toothache, a lost bag. Like, I was never going to press that button. Like, there's a thing in ultra running, death before DNF. Death before did not finish. I was like, death before DNF. Like, it cost me way too much money to sit and press a button there.
Carl, one of our listeners asking on the WhatsApp line how family and friends or former friends have responded to the turnaround in your life. Have you found that people who had written you off and walked away from Kyle 1.0 have found a way back to Kyle 2.0, or have you had to accept that some of those relationships are lost for good?
I think I've done a lot of bad in my life. I don't think some people would forgive me, but I have had a lot of people message me from my past. The biggest thing to save your life from addiction is to get rid of everyone that you were around being an addict. It's the hardest thing to do. Like, you need to change your environment. So there's people I don't speak to, and I mean, they were my friends, but I even with my clients, that's what I say. You need to change your environment. So I don't really think about that much, but I have received a lot of messages. And yeah, I'm just focusing on what's in front of me and the people's lives that I change now. And when you do step 4 in step work, you do say sorry to people. I have said sorry to the people that I thought I've hurt a lot. Actually, a girl I used to date actually messaged me when I was doing it. And I actually said sorry to her. And she said I never hurt her. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you are in the privileged position of having had the opportunity to do that. And, Carl, I mean, I know you don't take that for granted. If you follow your Instagram page and see the kind of messaging that's out there, it strikes me you are acutely aware of the gift of this second chance. So this decision that this race was going to count to helping somebody else get that second chance, how does it feel to have got to the end of it, to know you've hit your target and beyond if you're on 6,000 pounds already? Is it something you think that you'll keep on doing? Or was this a kind of I needed to do this to make it not just selfish, but that was a once-off? What do you think?
So this is just the start. I plan on running 230 Ks through the Amazon jungle in June.
Wow. Okay. What sort of training goes into that? I mean, a 40-degree day in Cape Town would have been a help yesterday, but what do you have to do to get your body ready for that kind of adventure?
Well, the funny thing, I had to send my coach an essay on why I'm going to do it. My coach is very specific, so I just had to explain to him why I wanted to do this and about the training and everything. I want my training to be very adventurous. When I used to live in Dubai, when I started this, we used to sleep in the desert for the weekend. I would leave my wife to the aircon and I would go sleep in the desert, run back-to-back days, carrying all our food and stuff on us. I said to him, like, that's what I want to get involved in again. I want to go sleep in the mountains in the Cedarburg with just me and my mate, run my back-to-backs, like 30, 40 Ks back-to-back with our food on our backs. I want to get back into that adventurous stage because next year I want to enter the Yukon 1,000-mile paddle race. Yeah. So you need to have a very outdoorsy resume to do that. Like, I'm not a paddler, but at least I can show them, look, I'm always in the mountains. I've done I also want to do a desert race, but I've done 2 of the harshest environments in the world back-to-back within 3 months, and also a desert race. So I just want to build my CV so I can do the Yukon because they're very strict.
Okay,
and you need to register with them. And I might not be a big paddler, but if I can show them my mindset's there and my outdoor experience there, because it's the most infested grizzly bear territory of the world. I'm quite obsessive. So, and the guy's going to do it with me. The guy who works with me, Didier, he's an engineer. So I think between me and him, we can work out how to keep our food away from bears.
Okay. Okay. Well, I look forward to a follow-up conversation once the bears are behind you. Carl, final question, because we must hand over to news. If listeners listening to this want to know more about your story, want to perhaps make a contribution to the fundraising campaign, or want to reach out based on what they've heard today, what's the best way to make contact with you?
Go to my Instagram, Carl Evans 2.0, and on my bio is the link for the Quiver Foundation to donate.
Awesome. Congratulations on pulling it off. And Carl, good luck to you. Look forward to hearing about the Amazon next time we chat.
Thank you so much.